Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to the Trinity Stamps YouTube channel. Today I am making a card that is featuring the Lemons and Leaves stencil to make this fun lemonade shaker card. This is the Lemon and Leaves stencil. There are actually 4 stencils in this set. This one makes the lemons. We have 2 stencils that create leaves and 1 stencil to create branches, which I won't be using in today's video, but these have etched details in them so they're easy to layer on top of each other. So for the lemons, I am starting out with Citrus Burst ink from Altenew, and I am going to start with my lightest color and add 2 other darkest colors. At least that's what I think at this point, but I actually end up adding a 4th color. So there's the lightest color. Then I'm going to come in with Fresh Lemon, which is a shade darker, and I'm working in thirds. So I colored first the whole lemon in the lightest color. Then I'm doing about 2/3 in the medium color, and then 1/3 in this darkest maple yellow. I'm going to repeat that on all the rest of the lemons. And then I did bring in Honey Drizzle, which is a 4th color, and added just a smidge, a touch of that darkest color, and it really brings these lemons to life. I also wanted to play with some splatter, so I smeared, and smashed my ink pad onto this window sheet of acetate, and I'm using a scraggly little paintbrush and a bit of water and flicking that off the edge of the window sheet onto those lemons, giving them some texture. And I love this look. It's going to dry back pretty light, so I had to bring in more splatter. If you know me, you know that if a little bit of splatter is good, then a lot of splatter is better. So I have just some cheap white acrylic paint, and I'm using that watered down a little bit with the same method as I did previously, and I love the look that this gives. And because it has a little bit of water in it, it's going to have a slight transparency to it, so it won't be really stark white, but add a lot of detail and a little bit of like a hint of shine to the lemons even. And then I thought we needed a darker color, so I went with Almond Butter. It's kind of a golden tan color, and then splattered that on as well. It will dry back a little lighter than you see here, and I'll show you the finished results up close so you can see how yummy the splatter is and how amazing it makes these lemons. Aren't they gorgeous? I love them. Okay, once that's dry, I am taking this leaf stencil. You can see the etched lines of the lemons on that stencil. I'm going to line those etched lines up with the lemons I already ink blended, and then I know these leaves are going to fit nicely in and around those lemons. And if I was carrying on and doing the branches, they would line up with the branches as well. So now I am bringing in some bamboo ink, and this is my lightest color. I'm going to do the lightest color first on all the leaves, and then I'm going to bring in moss and have that be my shadow or darker color. I'm only doing 2 colors on these because they're such smaller images, but having those 2 tones really helps it have some variation and depth, and that darker color makes the lighter color just pop. So I'm taking the moss ink and doing that splattering just like I did before to give those leaves a little bit of texture, because like I said, more splatter is better. And I also thought it would be good to add some of the brown in, so I brought back that almond butter and did that also. So this is going to have a lot of texture and a lot of interest going on, and maybe it's a lot to put into a background that's going to partially get covered up, but you know what? It makes me happy. So I'm doing it. So there we have the lemon background. I think it's delicious looking, such a fresh summery feel to this background. It's got to be one of my favorite stencil sets. So there you can see what it looks like all done. I wanted to add a touch of black to this, so I am bringing in this splatter product called Silk and splattering this all over. You could use ink, you could use paint, you could use watercolors, whatever you have to splatter on this, and just add that little extra something to the background. So there you can see it all splattered. I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to start working on the cup. So this is the Summertime Sips die set. These are the 2 pieces that cut the cup. You can cut this one by itself to get a solid, or you can cut the 2 together to get a cup with an opening to create a shaker. I also use the plain solid cup to die cut out a window sheet. There are some dies for ice cubes and whipped cream, which I cut from some glitter paper. And then there's the two different lids as well as a straw, which I'm going to cut from a piece of black and white patterned paper that has vertical stripes. Diagonal. They're really diagonal is what they are. So I'm going to tape that in place and run it through my machine. For the background of this shaker, I'm going to create some lemonade. So I'm taking the same exact colors I used on the lemons and doing an ombre effect on this cup. So I'm starting with the lighter at the top, then I'll do each color darker as I go down. So fresh lemon, then maple yellow, and then at the very bottom, that honey drizzle. Now this just wasn't popping as much as I really wanted it to, so I repeated all of these colors again, and then I really liked what I had. And I love that ombre effect of the lemonade. Okay, so now, yeah, it's time for splatter. So first, honey drizzle. I'm doing pretty much the same thing I did on the lemon, so adding the white acrylic paint next, and I brought in a couple other fun things because I had already brought out that black silk, so I brought out a lemon colored one. This is really super bright, so actually it shows up really well, but when you're making a shaker, so much of that background is going to be covered up, so that's why I think it's okay to put a ton of splatter, because then you can see some even when there's shaker elements there. So I'm going to set that aside to dry and work on the shaker part. So this frame I have flipped over and I'm adding glue to the back of it. And once that's got glue on all the sides, I can add that window sheet that is die cut as a solid cup. I want to make sure that that's lined up and none of the edges are hanging over, but you don't want to wiggle it around too much because then the glue might get on the part of the window that's going to show. I set a heavy block on that, and when it was dry, I decided this would really be like a clear cup, so this cup needs to have a little yellow, and so I added some with my blending brush without adding much ink to it at all. It had a lot of residual yellow already on it. Now I'm using some foam strips to create a reservoir for my shaker elements. So I'm putting these strips on all four sides, making sure that the ends touch so none of my shaker bits can escape. So once that is all done, then I am able to create my shaker. I used a little anti-static powder on the edges of that so that there was no sticky edges on the foam tape itself. I added in my 5 vellum ice cubes, and then I realized I need to add my whipped cream here. So there's my little glitter paper whipped cream I'm adding to the top, just gluing it in place. And now I'm bringing in these lemons. I actually got these in one of my Trinity Stamps orders. A lot of times they will send you a little sampling of shaker bits. There are very similar lemons, limes, oranges, stuff like that in the shop, and I will list those that are available in the description box for you below. So then I just removed the backing to the foam strips and then added my now dry lemonade backing piece, and look how adorable that is. But right here I realized, oh my word, I forgot to put this amazing black and white striped straw. So I'm doing what I like to call a little card surgery. I am peeling back my cup that I just stuck on so perfectly and wedging that straw down in there. And let me tell you what it feels like once you're done with card surgery. About like that. Yeah. Okay, so now I am taking a very thin strip of double stick tape and using that to attach my clear lid. I love the detail on the edge of this. It's so perfect. Okay, we're going to set that aside and get the background ready to go. These are the A7 layering dies. I'm taking the second to the largest die and die cutting that out, and these have an etched edge. I'm obsessed with it. It's so cool. Then I'm going to take the largest one and die cut that from black cardstock, but I don't want to waste the middle of it. So I took 2 sizes down and die cut that at the same time. So now I have a frame and a piece I can save for later. And I can actually now glue down my front panel to this and not feel like I've wasted all that paper that's in the center. I used this Slimline striped die set to die cut the word yippee from some black glitter cardstock, and then I'm going to put this all together. So first I will glue down my lemonade. The straw does go a little bit off to the side when I wanted it to come more up out of the middle of that lid, but yeah, it is what it is. I'm glad it's in there. So I'm going to glue the word yippee right to that lemonade cup and give it a few minutes to dry because it is glitter paper that has kind of a slick backing that's being glued down to a window sheet. So it's going to need a little time. Next, I am bringing in the summertime sentiments and stamping my sentiment on some yellow cardstock, and it says sending sweet summertime sips. So perfect, right? I'm going to glue that to the top of my card. It is going to overlap that straw, and it is a tiny bit wider than my card is, so I'm going to snip off any excess before I adhere that down to a 5x7 card base. So that's a 10-inch by 7-inch piece of cardstock that I scored at 5 inches. I had this extra piece left over from my stenciling, so I saved it for the inside of the card because it's such beautiful paper. I didn't want to waste any. Now I am bringing in the Brillant Citrine Rhinestone gems. They're delish. You can get these gems in so many colors. I am loving these so much. I've been using them all the time, and I thought they would look great as a little embellishment on this card. So I'm adding 3 in the upper left corner and 3 in the bottom right. And do you see that pickup tool? It's perfect. I have had struggles with trying to adhere gems before, so I am loving this tool. It's making it so easy for me. I added a strip of glitter paper right beneath my sweet sentiment there, and I also put a glue dot on my straw to help hold down that plastic lid because it was kind of flapping around. So that finishes off today's card. I love lemonade personally, and so making this card was super fun. Plus, it was kind of a challenge from one of my video watchers and suggested I use this stencil and make a lemonade card. So there it is, and thank you for the inspiration. If you would like more inspiration, you should check out the Trinity Stamps Instagram page and Facebook page as well. I'm so glad you took time to stop by and watch this video. I'll see you on the next one. Happy stamping! Bye!